Call the meeting to order. Invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty Creator in heaven and all things seen and unseen, we pray for those that have been affected by the storms on the East Coast. We pray for those who have lost their homes, some have lost their lives, and some are still stranded away from people. And God, we just pray that you'll be with them and lift them up and give them strength and peace. And be with the volunteers that they help clean up and help others, we pray. And God, be with this commission this evening, and may you shower your wisdom and grace, and that the conversations may be peaceful and solve the issues that we need to do for our community. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
We're going to switch things around. Our new future of America and hopefully future of Concordia. Our visitors here, we're going to ask them to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Red, white, blue.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Proclamations.
We do need to amend the agenda to add in a second item under new business, and it will be approval of repair or replacement of medic unit number 5.
Okay. And we'll move on to Constitutional Week. Proclamation.
Mayor Sacco and City Commissioners, the Daughters of the American Revolution petitioned Congress that September 17th to the 23rd be observed as Constitution Week. This was signed into law by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in the year 1956. My name is Mary Toman, and as a member of the DAR, I would like to thank you for honoring the 63rd anniversary of Constitution Week by signing the proclamation.
Thank you. Proclamation for Constitutional Week. Whereas September 17th, 2018 marks the 231st anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and to its memorable anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitutional Week. Now, therefore, I, Sam Sacco, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Concordia, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd as Constitutional Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I have unto set my hand and caused the seal of Concordia, Kansas, to be affixed this 19th day of September, the year of the Lord, 2018. Signed, Sam Sacco. You're right.
In honor of Constitution Week, Concordia Elementary School fourth graders would like to recite for you the preamble to the Constitution. Ready? Begin.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility,
think our future's in good hands. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It brings tears to my eyes. It was so good.
Pretty cool.
Parking space is now back. Parking space is now back.
Very good. Oh, I know it. No.
Wow, I think the temperature's dropped about 5 degrees. I see we have a second proclamation, Poppy Day.
County Commissioners, City Commissioners. I'm Doris Howell. I am the Pop Chairman of the American Legion Auxiliary, and I'm bringing the proclamation for you to sign it on Saturday the 22nd.
Sure.
And if there's any veterans around, if they look for me Saturday, I'll be walking around, and if they come up and introduce themselves, and if they're a veteran, they'll get a keychain. I've been making keychains for all veterans for the last 7 years or 8 years, and I forget how many keychains I've handed out.
Thank you.
I'll read this. Whereas America is the land of freedom, preserved and protected willingly and freely by citizen soldiers. Whereas millions who have answered the call to arms have died on the field of battle. Whereas a nation of peace must be reminded of the price of war and the debt owed to those who have died in war. Whereas the red poppy has been designated as a symbol of sacrifice of lives in all wars. And whereas the American Legion Auxiliary has pledged to remind Americans annually of this debt through the distribution of the memorial flower. Therefore, I, Sam Sacco, Mayor of the City of Concordia, do proclaim this date, and what date?
22nd.
22nd? September 22nd as Poppy Day, and have asked all citizens pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial flower on that day. In witness thereof, I have hereupon set my hand to cause the affixed of the official seal on this date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll see me after the parade, because I'll be in the color guard.
Very good. Thank you, Doris.
Thank you. I messed that one up. Approval of the minutes, September 5th, 2018 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the September 5th, 2018 meeting.
I have a motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Keaton. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Financial matters, appropriations, ordinance number 17.
I move to approve appropriation ordinance number 17.
I have a motion by Mark. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Keaton. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Public comments. Yes, sir.
I actually got a whole bunch.
Okay.
For one, it seems like it's becoming to be a name game in this town, and I'm really getting tired of it. Snavely's, anybody that is getting old. I've got Snavely's next door to me that are nuisance yards just as bad as I have. I've talked to over 100 people. I'm getting letters for a nuisance yard. But I've talked to 100 people who have cars that aren't tagged, aren't insured, grass is higher, let alone a city property down the road from me has grass at least up to my knees again. And it's been that way for 4 weeks when they condemned. And they refuse to mow until they tear it down. No. You're going to get nuisance for everybody. It's going to be everybody, not just specific people you don't like, pretty much. I know I got letters a while back, all because the Snavely's next door called me in. They called it in. Them cars were tagged and insured. My yard was cut. I had a few things down, but nothing threatening. They've had shingles laying out in their backyard. They have their second house powered with a damn extension cord, which is a fire hazard to our whole block. If that goes up, he powers TVs, diesel-powered heaters in that house. His whole electricity off that is ran off his dad's house through an extension cord. On top of that, the fact you guys always are complaining you don't have the money, spinning on a slide and tacking that onto our taxes. Half of us adults don't go to that pool. We can't go to that pool. We refuse to. For reasons. One, they're charging $3 for us to get in. We understand that, but there's too many kids, and why are we being taxed for something you guys expense when you could use that expense to fix these roads, alleys? I work on a trash truck. I threw my back out because of how these roads are. Literally, I'm now spending a $40 bill at the chiropractor. That's just for one time. Then we got, every time, a theft. Officer John Primo, former deputy. Okay, sorry. But basically, an officer of the law will drive down 2 miles an hour past my house, staring down, looking for the stolen property on my property specifically. And I've had this problem since pretty much he was a deputy. So it needs to stop. This name game, I actually think that the fact that this abatement law that you guys have is taken advantage of and needs to be disbanded. There is people who work and only have Saturdays and Sundays. I know a lot of us here work. I pick up over probably a lot of your guys' trash, to be honest. I pick up a lot of the cities through South Alley. I make sure it's clean through there. It's not on the roads and stuff. These roads are causing the trucks to break down, things to break on the trucks, me to get hurt too. And I think the abatement law just needs to be removed, so that way I know a lot of us would come together and be more willing to get the stuff. But when we're pressured, and then we talk to people that see the same thing that we had at our yard, and they ain't got one. I can say there's a semi not too far from the middle school, basically, an old semi sitting there on the street, untagged, uninsured, with about 15 cars sitting on the property, and I could see from the trash truck that about 12 of them either had expired tags or no tag. And I went up and talked to the guy. He never got a letter. So why are we, certain people, getting letters? Literally a day after something gets on our yard, we're getting a letter a week later with a date from the print, from when the picture was taken. These are like this for months. If we're not gonna use this abatement law right and participate it towards everybody, then I think, and I know I can bring in several people the next meeting that'll say the same thing, that thinks this abatement law needs to go by then. If it's not gonna be enforced right and used just as a name game. Because, to be honest, I'm related to the Snaveleys. I'm maybe a Crane. I'm married into the Snavely, the Hale family, the Kern family. So if you're gonna play that name game, 90% of this town is married into each other, one way or another. Either through the Hales, through the Snaveleys, or through the Kerns. It's not like we got high people here, there, that are more important just because they have money. I've slowly been turning that house down there on 2nd Street. Slowly. I just put a new roof on literally when I wasn't even feeling good. I literally stayed up there till I about fainted and fell off that roof, putting that roof on. Just to make it look nicer and be able to hold water. I busted my butt on the trash truck to pay for that house. I now own it. So, the fact that this is coming down to this, I think we need to rethink the abatement law. Because I really hate to start making other yards nuisance to make you guys realize. I mean, you guys all know where Brown's trash disposal. I can just make the alleys nuisances and not make sure it's all picked up when something leaks. But I make sure, because even I walk down the alley sometimes. They're shortcuts. So that's something that needs to really be looked at.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Something we need to think about. Any other comments? New business. Approval of 435 East 2nd Street. Demo bids.
There it is. Based on section, this is one we condemned a while back, and we had to redo the process a little bit, and it's been in progress, and it is the one Mr. Crane did just complain about, but we still don't own it. We probably never will. But it is condemned, and these are the bids, and based on policy statement 18, section 5, we recommend the local guy based on the $165 difference.
Yep.
This Nooch Construction, I never heard of them before, never worked with them before. They did send me a lot of information, and I probably will be calling them after this, because we'll give them the results depending on how you guys decide, but I would like to talk to them about getting them on our list. Just basically because I get a lot of complaints from people when I give them the list that they're not getting some returns, and I think some of that's kind of depends on how busy people are, and that, you know, in construction, you sometimes don't get a return call right away. But I do have people tell me I've called 3 or 4 people on that list and nobody will give me a bid, so the more people on the list that are good, legitimate contractors, and for that, you know, comparably, so we're looking forward to maybe talking to them, but we're gonna wait till after this decision and see what goes on. But that's our recommendation, and then as soon as that goes, we'll contact whoever and start the permit process and get her down, get her cleaned up. Then it'll be mowed.
I move to approve the bid from Snavely Excavating for $8,665 for demolition of structures and trees at 435 East 2nd Street.
I have a motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second by Mark. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Done. Approval of the repair or replacement of Medic 5.
Well, we're back here like we've been in the past. Medic 5 is a 2010 Ford E350 with the 6.0 diesel. It's our last one that we have in the fleet. This last weekend we had multiple transfers to Wichita. We had 2 on the road at the same time. This one was called to Glasgow. On its way back, started blowing white smoke as they pulled into the building. It locked up on them. We've had Budrose look at it. We think it is hydraulic locked. So they're sure the head gasket's going to have to be replaced. They don't know what else is damaged inside till they tear into it. Right now, the bid to repair it for just the head gasket, pending nothing else, is about $6,000. The past 2 years, we spent $7,000 on this unit. We've only put 9,000 miles on it because the guys don't trust it to go anywhere. It is our last out unit. We have a 99 Ford F350 with the 7.3 diesel that they trust over it because it's that good, strong 7.3 diesel. So we reached out to Osage. They're the ones that we bought the Medic 4 from and the Ford Transit. They happen to have a demo. It's a remount box. It's their box. The box is 5 years old. They've completely stripped it out, put new LED lights on, put it on a new chassis of a Ford E350. It's a V10 gas because you can't get the vans in the diesel style anymore. It has a full warranty, just like it's a brand new unit, because the box was originally theirs, so they only remount their boxes so they can give that full warranty to it. If we was to do that, it's going to be $9,700.
It's 98,000.
98,000, sorry.
We can do it for 9, chief.
Yeah, $98,700. It's a lot of information real quick. The biggest thing that we're running into is the transfers, and that's just healthcare today. So far this year to date, we've done 135 transfers to Salina, 191 transfers total. Our busiest year was in 2016, and we did 139 to Salina and 203 for the year.
So we're 13 away from, and we got 4 months left of it.
And like I said, the past 2 weekends, we've been averaging 3 transfers. And this last week, we had 3 transfers at one shot.
How many of those, Chief, have been outside Concordia to start?
Just the transfers start at our hospital. And because of the healthcare system, they need that specialty.
Okay. I guess then the question I need to know is how many outside Concordia were brought into the hospital and the hospital sent down?
That I'd have to run some numbers and stuff. I don't know how to, I would have a hard time breaking that down. Year to date, total calls we've had is 689, and 191 of those have been transfers. So you can figure we probably transport probably another 450 of those to the hospital. The rest of them would be probably patient refusals and assist up and stuff. So
The only reason I bring that up is because, and we discussed this during budget time, is I think we got to take a look on how we handle outside Concordia, and maybe even go to the county or some of those towns and say, you know what, we're running thin, our equipment's getting miles on it, and we're having to replace it, and the city can't keep doing this just on its own. And I think we need to say, you know, we don't mind providing the manpower and taking the time to do it, but then when it comes to the equipment, the whole thing, you have to help us with that. Because I think, you know, I look at this and I look at, you know, we talked about the budget time, yes, we're going to trouble here, and it's going to keep going that way. And until we can start generating more income, I think that we need some help from this. And like I say, I think I can understand where they can't afford to handle this themselves, and I respect that. And here we are. But at the same time, I think they need to come into this thing as far as helping us with the equipment and the price of the equipment. Because I don't think the city can afford to keep furnishing equipment and paying for it for the whole county.
And I have a feeling with the standards and the requirements now for continuing ed, smaller ambulance services around are going to continue to have troubles getting people, just as we do. It's hard for us to, and we pay our people per hour for what they do, but for them to be on call and to continue that, to do that as a straight volunteer, it's harder and harder, not only in Concordia and Cloud County, it's a national issue.
Sure.
The
And that's why-
mileage, the mileage is, and we've bought 2 in 2017, and those 2 together have got over 65,000 miles on them.
I know, and that's where we need some help as far as the equipment. I understand the other problem, and I think we can help solve that. But I think we need some help as far as the maintenance and the upkeep of this equipment, because, 65,000 already on our 217,
On 2 of them.
on 2 of them. I mean, it won't be long and you're standing there and saying, we're blowing gaskets on these too. And then what do? And we get to a point, if we get a bunch of them off this, and then all of a sudden Concordia becomes a party that could suffer. And I just think that I'd like to see the city, I'd like to see Amy start negotiations and talk with these people and throw out the facts and say, hey, we don't mind servicing the people, and we doing the manpower, but when it comes to equipment, we need some help.
We were just looking and verifying that the way that we do ambulance billing, basically whatever the insurance companies or Medicare doesn't pay us for our ambulance runs based on what we charge, then we bill out the rest to a township based on a specific formula. And a portion of that billing and a portion of the charges that we have does include a little bit that is supposed to pay for some of the equipment. It pays for personnel and some supplies, but it also pays for a little bit of equipment. So I think you're right. I think it's probably time to start talking to the county about increasing that a little bit.
Yes.
But we are sensitive to the fact right now already that they are very sensitive to the amount that they're getting charged, that difference between the difference between what Medicare and insurance doesn't pay for ambulance runs that we didn't have to charge back to the county for townships just to have the service available.
And I appreciate that sensitivity, but I think that's assuming that there's a different option available.
Right.
And I think that's something that, I don't think anybody likes paying more for anything. But as opposed to, our fire EMS being able to provide the services that the whole county really depends on, I think that as we try to have those conversations, that it's important to, we're not generating a tremendous amount of income from this. This is not a money maker. This is trying to keep this to where we can keep things running and keep providing the care and the support that our county requires, and the citizens of our county require. So it's not we're not trying to get new ambulances off their backs, but there needs to be an equitable sharing of the cost. That's
To maintain a certain level of service quality.
Exactly.
I just want to make sure everybody knew that a portion of that
It does.
replacement was already.
Well, yeah, and we discussed that.
But we may need to keep that.
But the fact is, it's not enough to cover, we're getting hit with this at 98,000. I'm not so sure this time next year, we're gonna get hit with another 100,000. And,
Cost of a new ambulance that's not a demo unit.
and I just think that it's time that, and they have a choice. They can go in and do it themselves, but that costs them even more money. And I wouldn't be since we kind of look at it and say, we'll supply the manpower and the whole thing, but here's the cost of the equipment, maintaining it. If we have to go and get a new ambulance and the whole thing, then you have to put in a portion of that as well. But just something that the city doesn't stand there trying to fund for the whole county, because it'd be nice if we could afford to do that, but we just can't. And I'm afraid what's going to happen is the service and the equipment that we have for the city down the road could go down. And we got to look at our citizens first.
And one of the nice things is they have this demo unit. If you remember when we bought Medic Force, tune of about 200,000. This unit's a 17. It's been out on the road to shows and stuff like that. So they're willing, because we bought 2 from them. They're cutting us a pretty good deal. That's why we kind of pushed this on them to you very rapid. We just got the information today, so we do apologize for that. But that's kind of, we're trying to save as much money as we can.
98's a lot, but it's a lot less than 200.
And in the past, one of the big philosophies in our departments, we try not to turn down any transfers. I feel it's important if somebody does need to transfer to another facility, as local people that take care of them for as long as we can, and that's been one of our big pushes. So.
And I think that's good. And I think I wouldn't want to see the city change that, but at the same time, the people who are doing that outside the city, the different townships and everything else, have to realize there's a cost to that. And the city just can't afford to.
It'd be nice if the county had a budget, a line item in their budget for, possibility of paying for partial equipment, and that it gets brought before them at the same time too. I haven't been to Glasgow in a while, but I go to Clyde and Miltonville and stuff, and all I can say is it's a good thing that, and I'm not taking shots at anybody, but I think it's a good thing that we're taking care of those communities with our stuff a lot better than the law enforcement is, because I have people come up to me in Clyde and say, we haven't seen a sheriff's officer over here and can't remember when, so we got to keep taking care of them, but I think the county needs to step up. I agree with Sam. I think the county needs to step up, and maybe it has to be a line item in their budget.
Speaking specifically to this action item, Chief, as I was reading through this and kind of trying to think about a problem-solving approach, I wondered, ultimately, I guess my first thought or my question was, would it make sense to do both? And that this, from what I understand, this engine, the ambulance itself is not in bad shape, but the engine is just a lemon, right? This engine has been trashed from the get-go, and ours is not the only 6.0. They're all trashed. So if we were to be able to make this ambulance right for 6, 10, 15, would it, and knowing that it's still a 2010, would it make more sense for us to make this one right with this bulletproof option? And honestly, I have a question about how bulletproof it is. But would it make sense to do that for this, and then move the Medic 3 while it's still operational, which would then, in effect, give us 2 17s. I'm guessing this is an 18 or a 19.
It's a 17. It's on a 17 chassis.
Oh, 17.
Late
So we'd have 3 17s and a 2010 that was in pretty solid shape.
The problem with the bulletproofing is they take out some of the immersion stuffs and they fix the head gasket issue. The 6.0s are notorious for about 3 different things: the head gasket's blown, which we're into now, the injectors, which we have done, and the oil cooler, which we have done twice in the past 4 years. So there's some concern on our part over there of, would we want to put our family in it and go down the road? And majority of the guys that I talk to would not feel comfortable putting their family in it and going down the road. I asked that question, and they would rather put them in Medic 3 with that 7.3 and know we can get to the facility than do the 6.0.
And there's no, I'm clearly not a mechanic. I just don't have that expertise and that knowledge. I'm amazed at folks that can look at those things and know what to do. But is there a way to make it right?
As far as I know, no.
They're notorious for it over and over again. Bulletproof will help the heads, but it won't help anything else.
Is the V10 gas unit, has that got a better track record?
They do.
Okay.
With the people that have had them, I talked to a couple people today. One person told me he's actually ordering his pickup on a V10 chassis for an ambulance instead of a diesel, trying to get away from the DEF and the extra cost of a diesel. So he was impressed with the V10 and how it's been performing and running.
I see the need. I mean, I know we knew we knew Medic 5 was a May blow for a long time. I mean, that's not a surprise. I share Sam and Mark's statements about needing to find an equitable distribution of the responsibility for this. I worry that we're not going to be too far away from a conversation with Medic 3. But that.
And the only reason I go off of Medic 3 with the 7.3, personally, I had a 7.3 in my pickup truck and I had 300,000 miles on it. And just like the Medic 3 now, we do some alternators and just the usual maintaining, but nothing like what we've had with these 6.0s.
So it still seems solid.
It seems very solid.
Which I know is a real.
The body and stuff, it's older, and there's some more cosmetics in it because it is an older truck, but the body, if I had to put a family member in it and I had to choose between Medic 5 and Medic 3, I'd choose Medic 3. And that's how I look at these, when I'm looking at it, as if my family member's going in the back of it.
Is there anything we can get out of Medic 5?
Medic 5, and I don't remember the exact numbers. The last 2 that we sold, one was running, kind of, and one was not. And the one that was not, we got just under 2,000, I believe, on Purple Wave. And the one that was running was just a little over 2,000. So there's really not much. And because of it being the body style it is, Osage will buy back their units and get more money because they built the box and they know it. The company that is Medic 5 doesn't have that program where they remount it. So the plan would be if we did this to Purple Wave, Medic 5, and get as much as we could.
I don't know if there's really a whole lot of other option, but I would move to approve the purchase of the remount medic unit from Osage for $98,700, unless you can get it for that $9,000.
I have a motion by Chuck. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Keaton. Any further discussion?
Is this the one that, a few years ago, I had to go to Salina on an emergency and wee hours of the morning, and every time we go over a bridge thing, the lights would go on inside the ambulance, and then when we come off the bridge, the lights would go off. Is that?
It's that one.
Okay, okay.
It's that
I
one.
third it.
There's an electrical issue that we think we have cured. We think we have cured that electrical issue. But yeah, that would be the same one.
The only thing I like to add is I do think we need to start talks, because we get hit with 3 and all of a sudden it's something that we can do quite easily, we can't do anymore. And so they have to know that they have to cough up a little bit, or they may lose service just because we don't have the funds.
We can totally start those conversations.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
I'll say that, and I know she was explaining it somewhat, but as far as the billing to the townships, and we kind of discussed it in budget time, but that, like, for this year, this next year, they're gonna pay $105,000 of our basically calculated ambulance expense of $765,000. So I mean, they used to pay, like in 2014, they paid $30,000. So I mean, we've definitely stepped up the price that we're charging the county, and they've definitely
With 600,000,
excited about it. But
600,000 is still too much, especially when we're adding ambulances. And we're on the verge of another one.
The increase was more a result of personnel increase, but the cost of vehicles is included in what we charge you, so they are paying a portion of it right now.
But we need to get that increased.
And just that we're turning them over faster than we probably anticipated the life cycle because
Sure.
of that engine. But yeah, we can certainly start those conversations.
Yep.
Because the ones we've replaced have all been S6, haven't they?
Yes.
So, I don't want to say it, but there's an opportunity that we may not have to have this conversation
That's what
frequently as well.
That's what I'm hoping, yes. And the way this will work, pending your guys' vote and approval, is we will go down, because we've not physically looked at this. This has all just been on paper and pictures. We will physically go look at it before we sign contracts, and we'll make sure that we're happy with it beforehand.
Very good.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Real quick, Sam, though, I would have a question, because I'm a nerd.
Sure.
Would we need to reword that then to move to authorize the chief of police to purchase that, or can we go ahead and do this full-out approval? Does that matter since it's still in the air?
Fire chief.
Fire chief.
You said chief of police.
I apologize.
There goes your budget.
Yeah, we can pay for it. It is good.
Oh, he's Rick's back there.
He said he was a nerd.
I am that.
The budget's shot for the police department this year.
Does it matter?
If you change it to authorize, then it doesn't necessarily have to be this unit, but you're still bound to Osage, you're still capped at that dollar amount, and you're still paying for it out of the equipment reserve fund and MSA things. So we still have those same bounds regardless
That's
of
fine.
the wording. It's going to be the same either way.
That's fine. I just
Yeah.
make sure for some reason you get down there like, this isn't the one. I guess I'd still want you to have.
We will come back.
Fair enough.
If it's not the right one, we'll come back and speak.
Fair enough.
This was a great deal, so we just wanted to.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Moving on, managers report.
Saturday is Fall Fest. Is everyone ready? Got some beautiful weather coming up. I do want to let you know that the Truck Smash booth has been moved. It was originally going to be in front of NCK Carpet. Today it's been moved into in front of the Sears building. So we'll be down by where the fire truck pole is and the seatbelt
And the
condenser
pigeons.
and things of that nature. That's where we'll be at. So
We're going to have it under the pigeons.
no, the pigeon spikes are in place. I think we've greatly reduced that. So
Okay.
we do appreciate that owner's action in that area. Do review the schedule and do show up for when you can. If you can work an extra half an hour shift, we still have some open. I'll send out another reminder on Friday for your shifts there. Just half an hour shift is all we're asking. And commissioners, we want you to hand out the hammer. We want you to put on, have people put on the safety glasses. And then the city staff will be there to help manage the money part of it and make sure that those stay in place and don't blow away in the wind. So it should be pretty good. Yesterday we did hold our department head retreat down at the barn at Bear Bottoms by Miltonville. I think we all had a good time. Did we learn something too? Got something out of it? Yeah. I felt like we accomplished every goal that we set out to accomplish. So it was very well received in a nice space. If you ever do need a space to go for a few people, that was really good. We appreciate them hosting us. We also did have an opportunity to showcase Concordia as a leader in Baldwin City. Baldwin City invited Ashley Hutchison and Jessica Brucken to go down there and speak a little bit on the Broadway Plaza. And though it was controversial here, they got to explain the good, the bad, and the ugly and how it's worked out for us in the end. Baldwin City is looking at doing something similar, and this is the second time that Concordia has been asked to come someplace and explain our experiences with it. So we really appreciate being seen as a leader in certain areas. So that's been really good. Next meeting on October 3rd, we will be bringing to you a study session regarding to changes in the animal control ordinance, so do be ready for a discussion on that. We are encouraging people to contact you ahead of time. Before that, we are encouraging people to speak at guest comments. We really want to focus our efforts during that study session with the folks around the table, and we will have we've invited Chief Frederickson and Jody Baker, our animal control officer, to be at the table with us to talk through those. That study session is really your time to ask questions of staff and make sure you have a solid answer, knowing what you've already heard from the public about what they desire. The other announcement that we have is that the ordinance that you passed a few weeks ago related to the Sunday sales of beer and alcohol, a protest petition was filed. It was deemed valid by the county clerk. And so the question of whether Concordia will sell beer and alcohol on Sunday, will allow those sales, will be on the November ballot for general public election.
Okay.
So do encourage people to get out and vote. That'll be important. The November 21st commission meeting falls the Wednesday evening right before Thanksgiving, and I would like to know, do you guys all plan to be here that evening?
I'll be here.
Yes. Mark Keaton, you guys know who'll be here?
I'll have to check.
Okay. Do verify that for us so that we know if we'll have a quorum. Right now, we are planning toward a light agenda. Between now and then, I'd say you can expect 1 to 2 study sessions every meeting between now and then, as we work to get some more things moved through. And did want to give an update on our server replacement. Again, thank you for allowing us to work with Lockett and get that taken care of. I do believe the migration is complete. We're still working through a few bugs on some different things to make sure everything's up and running, but things are running a whole lot smoother now, so we do appreciate that. That's all that I had to share today. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Nope.
Thank you.
Mark?
I quite often drive around town and just drive just about every neighborhood there is, and I know we had someone talk about this tonight, but I noticed, and I don't know properties that we've taken action upon and those that we haven't, but there are a lot of places that have a lot of vehicles and things in the yards, and I don't know, and unmowed grass and disrepair and those types of things. But I have a lot of confidence that we're treating everybody equally and fairly. But I do know that there are some things, I think, as far as cleaning up Concordia, I think, I don't want to do away with any program that's going to try to improve things and make things look better. So that's my comment.
I just want to comment a little bit. I know Kelsey's been giving these abatements to me, and for the last 2-3 weeks I haven't been doing them because the grass has been growing so fast on me since we got all that rain. I'm hoping maybe next week get started back on them. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to get all the parks mowed before Fall Fest and stuff because people come back to town, and I got the cemetery I was trying to get done too. So hopefully we can get to them next week if it don't rain too much. And Because I've told Aaron, I said, I don't want to do these abatements until we keep our stuff up.
Yeah.
Because I can't let our stuff go and do theirs, and then we look bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do have about 10 of them I've got held back on.
I
so.
understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Ron. Thank you.
Chuck?
Just a couple comments. I say it somewhat often. Really just impressed with our community and what we've been doing, what we're trying to do. You know, attending the movie at the Plaza Thursday night was a wonderful opportunity. It was a pretty nice night. Had to blush a little bit. I don't quite remember Grease being as risque as. Had some questions from our girls.
Did you have answers?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking.
They weren't necessarily dishonest. They just weren't as straightforward as they might have been. With Fall Fest coming to town, I had a friend that was in town last week. He commented on the plaza. He just said he was really impressed to see our downtown. He's someone that lives in Wichita. He and I grew up together, but he travels a lot around, not only Kansas, but kind of all the states around. And he just says, I hope you know how great this is, because I see so many towns that are falling apart that people don't care, and it's just, it was really, I said, you know, Joe, I do know, and I'm really fortunate to be here and to be a part of it. So I want to thank all the department heads, all the city staff, everyone in Concordia that works to make this the community that it is. It's not just the city, it's not just this organization or that organization, but it's really everyone. And that being said, we all have the opportunity to do more, and I would invite everyone to do whatever they can to try to make this the greatest home we can. Moving on, I'm glad to hear that the vote for the liquor sales is going to the vote. I think that's what needs to happen. I think people of Concordia need to decide whether that's something that they want or not. I don't think that's something necessarily for a commission to decide, so I would encourage, there's certainly other reasons to go out and vote. This is a pretty big election coming up, but this is the opportunity to be heard. So for this and for all the other reasons, please make it by the ballots, cast your votes, they do count. Would also invite the public to be present for the comments in regards to the dog ordinance. It was one that had a lot of contention before. I hope that people won't be dissuaded because they won't be able to participate in the study session, but would really want to make sure that everyone knows their voices will be heard in the comments, and that we'll take that into consideration as we work to, I think, find a more equitable or a more appropriate ordinance, but we'll see where that ends up shaking out. So that's all I have.
Okay.
I don't have anything to see.
I'm even going to be quiet tonight. Staff comments. Good. Let's go home. Meeting adjourned.
We need a motion now.
Oh,
I would move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
okay.
Aye.
Hey, Eric, can that 2010 be